Okay, we're just getting things kind of set up here. Hopefully everything's working properly. You never quite know with these things, but I think it should be all right. I think we should all be good to go. What is that? That's weird. Okay. Yes, hello everybody. Welcome to today's live or tonight's live, depending on what time it is for all of you guys. How's everyone doing today? Concavenator's your favorite dinosaur? Excellent. Excellent choice right there. Yes. Hello, everybody. Hello. Wait, you stream? Yeah, whenever I can. I try to have a consistent streaming schedule. I try to do it once a week, but it's been so busy the last few weeks that I haven't done it in a while. But yes, it is something that we usually do try to do. Do I know about Spinosaurus? Absolutely, I do. It's my favorite dinosaur, in fact. I quite like the dinosaur. I think it's very cool. Acrocanthosaurus is your new favorite? That's awesome. That's a good choice right there. When do you think Pachyrhinosaurus will be added to Jurassic World Evolution 3? I don't know, honestly. I don't know if it will be. So far, they've only said the base game dinosaurs are going to be added to Evolution 3. Like the base game ones from Jurassic World Evolution 2. Pachyrhinosaurus was not a base game dinosaur. I think it was a deluxe edition dinosaur. So I don't know what's going to happen to like the DLC and deluxe dinosaurs. I hope they get added, but I'm just not too sure what'll happen. Favorite sauropod? My favorite sauropod is either Argentinosaurus or Alamosaurus. How close are we, do you think, to bringing back dinosaurs? Can Jurassic Park as a dinosaur fan? I do think we're close. Another 5 years. Oh, definitely not. At least in the way that Jurassic Park did it, that's not really feasible. DNA just doesn't last that long, so we can't really recreate actual dinosaurs. The closest you can get is like modifying modern day birds to make them look a little bit more like non-avian dinosaurs. That's probably the closest you'll get. Just how protective is the mother Tyrannosaurus Rex out of all of the other animals out there? I think the most protective mothers are orcas, elephants, and T Rexes. We don't quite know. Behaviors are not really something that fossilize too well. It's very difficult to actually get behavior, like indications of how an animal behaved in life based off of just the fossils. So, as far as we know, we don't know how protective tyrannosaurs would be. It's possible they would have been protective, but it's also possible that they wouldn't have been. Um, that we just don't have much to go off of. How excited am I for Chaos Theory season 4? I'm very excited. I've thoroughly enjoyed through and through. I mean, I didn't like season 3 as much, but just generally speaking, I really liked it. What's your guess for the possible December DLC for Jurassic World Evolution 3? I don't know. It's either going to be Chaos Theory or it's going to be Rebirth. Okay, I think we were lagging there for a bit. I don't know why that happened, but I think we're all caught up now. And as far as like the DLC, the next DLC or the first DLC for Jurassic World Evolution 3, I think it'll either be Rebirth or Chaos Theory. I'm not too sure which one will be first though, because the first DLC will be coming out relatively close to when Chaos Theory season 4 comes out. However, Rebirth will certainly probably make them more money, so have I seen any Predator movie? Because in the new Predator movie, Badlands, there's a sequence where we see Predator enter a trophy room, and one of the skulls we see is the skull of a T Rex. Yes, I have seen that. I have seen the T Rex skull in the trailer. I haven't seen Badlands yet, so no spoilers. But I do like Predator movies. I liked Predator Killer of Killers. I really liked Prey. The first Predator was awesome. I also really liked the Alien versus Predator movie, like the first one. Overall, they're pretty good movies. I think they're really fun. What is your opinion on Microraptor? Oh, Microraptor is a really cool dinosaur. It's one of the few dinosaurs that we actually know. We know what color it was in life. It was so well preserved that we could still see the little like color determining pigments. They're called melanosomes. And yeah, it looked like a crow. It looked like a little crow or a raven in life, which I think is really cool. Out of all of the hadrosaurs, what is your top 3 favorite? That would probably be Edmontosaurus, Maiasaura, and Parasaurolophus. I love those dinosaurs. They're so cool. I would love to see Nanotyrannus in a horror short film. That'd be kind of cool. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Like a sort of medium-sized theropod. That's a pretty cool thing. You know, it's pretty terrifying too. Um, what is your favorite Australian dinosaur? By the way, I've been watching since 9000. Oh, thanks for sticking around. I appreciate that. And my favorite Australian dinosaur is Muttaburrasaurus. I love those things. So cool. Have you seen them? Especially like their depiction in Walking with Dinosaurs and all that. It's so cool. Tell us about the Allosaurus. What Allosaurus specifically? There's a lot of the Allosaurus. Allosaurus is a cool dinosaur, though. There's a few identified species known as like Fragilis, Jamedsoni, possibly Europaeus, but that might be up in the air, and Allosaurus anax. They were decently like widespread, like they were pretty common, at least in the Morrison Formation, because you can find their fossils kind of frequently. They also might have been like one of the top predators in that given environment, which is of course just really cool. Um, yeah, no, they're an awesome dinosaur. Like you can't go wrong with them. Madly Mesozoic, how we doing, man? Uh, what do you think is going to happen to the Jurassic film franchise after Chaos Theory? Because I feel like it's going to be the last good story in the canon. I really don't like where Rebirth is going. I don't really know. I haven't put too much thought into it recently. I think that they're certainly going to be like really. I think we're going back to Isle St. Hubert for one. They're probably going to like we're going to see a lot of those animals again in the future. Hopefully the franchise does well in the future. Do you think that Inostransavia could survive in modern society? Well, in society, I don't know. I don't know, man. All of these taxes, they might not do might do it dirty. But like in today's environment, for example, in Transavia, it's tough to say. I'm not one for like speculative type topics. In fact, I think that's something that Madly Mesozoic tackles quite well. Um, so there's a lot of environmental factors that would go into determining whether or not an animal would survive pretty well in that given environment. In Transsavia's environment, it would have to be similar to the way that it was during the late Permian for it to do well. What is the goofiest dinosaur I know? I don't know. What is the goofiest dinosaur that I know? Um, Incisivsaurus is really kind of funny. I mean, it's like a little dinosaur with buck teeth. Like that's kind of goofy. That's pretty goofy. Um, do you think we'll ever bring back a dino using DNA like we've done with the dire wolf and some bird species? So to be clear, the dire wolf is not actually dire wolves nowadays. They're just highly modified gray wolves. And yes, that is pretty much like the only way that we can bring back what we think of when we hear the words non-avian dinosaurs. In fact, there's already a project that's happening that is literally within that vein called the Chickenosaurus Project. That's being hailed by Jack Horner. What they're doing is they're literally just modifying the traits of a chicken embryo to make it look like a non-avian dinosaur. Giving it claws, giving it teeth, giving it a longer tail. That's probably the closest that we'll get to actually recreating non-avian dinosaurs. We're not going to bring back real dinosaurs, just like how we didn't bring back real wolves, dire wolves. I'm currently working on a game idea called The Scrapyard, where you're an engineer who has to fix the dinosaur robots due to something and editing their code. And each Dinobot has their own function. Thoughts? That sounds like a lot of fun. I'd definitely play it. You should make a T-Rex enclosure like how Poet Plays made it in his world. That would be so cool. That would be. That's a lot of iron. A lot of iron. We gonna get a Bertosaurus Rex before GTA 6? I feel like probably not. At last they said they're only halfway through the Chickenosaurus project, and they've been doing it for 10 years. So we got like another 10 years about before we actually see any chickenosaurs, if we ever see them. Who knows what'll happen with that project? Thoughts on the Dodo project? I'm just not a big fan of Colossal in general. I don't like a lot of their approaches to a lot of their things. Um, so I mean, the Dodo, I understand trying to bring back a Dodo because it's our fault why they're extinct in the first place. And I believe there's still some environments that could benefit from something like a Dodo, but it's it's a slippery slope of a topic, if you ask me. Any thoughts on Elasmotherium? Oh, it's a very cool rhino. Those are my thoughts on it. It's huge for one. It's like a really, really large rhino that has a huge skull, and it likely has a boss instead of a horn. There's a lot of depictions out there that portray it with a really long horn. Most research seems to support the fact that it probably had a boss in life. In fact, that's what a prehistoric planet Ice Age is going to be doing. That'll certainly be interesting. It's a cool animal, though. I love rhinos. Rhinos are really fast. Only stating that we've only found juveniles thus far. We have only ever found juvenile compsognathids. And it wasn't like specifically stating if they were juvenile tyrannosauroids. It was just stating that we don't really know what compsognathid growth is like. It was kind of like arguing against the validity of that family of dinosaurs in general. But we don't really have enough data on it, unfortunately. As it currently stands, we don't really have enough information to state what compsognathids were like when they were older. Maybe they were juvenile tyrannosauroids, but that would remain to be seen. Got that Maastrichtian Wi-Fi. It's not my Wi-Fi, unfortunately. I have issues with YouTube Studio. For some reason, it always has issues with lagging, which is why I don't stream as much anymore because of issues like that. So yeah, if it's lagging currently, I do apologize. I've done everything I could to fix it, but streaming is literally the only area that I have issues with. The many interpretations of Apiosaurus, that'd be cool. Wouldn't mind doing that. Have I ever found dinosaur fossils? Yes, I have. I found a few. I've mostly found teeth. What else have I found? I found a toe bone one time. Yeah, I found a few dinosaur fossils here and there. Are you streaming via OBS or Streamlabs? I am doing OBS. Why? Is Streamlabs better? Because if it is, then I wouldn't mind switching. Nanotyrannus in a documentary will be awesome. Well, there's actually a few documentaries out there with Nanotyrannus. Well, one that I really recommend is Dino Deathmatch. Go and watch that one. That one holds up very well nowadays. So yeah, go and watch that one. Great old one. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. What are your thoughts on genetically engineering a bird to look more like a dinosaur? Yeah, I was just talking about that a little bit. It's an interesting thing to do. I don't know if we really need to be like spending so much time on something like that, but it could potentially offer some insight about how non-avian dinosaurs actually functioned, their whole biology and all that. So it's an interesting project. Streamlabs usually a bit smoother for me. Okay, I'm gonna have to look into that then. In fact, I'm gonna write it down. We'll type it down rather. Streamlabs. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And actually, let me check to make sure something real quick. Um, there we go. Cool. Okay. Birds already look like dinosaurs because they are dinosaurs. Yes, what the original commenter was talking about was non-avian dinosaurs, because there is a huge distinction between non-avian dinosaurs and avian dinosaurs. Usually, whenever someone is talking about, what, like, say, if someone asks, "What does a dinosaur sound like?" Obviously, they mean non-avian dinosaurs, because we know what avian dinosaurs sound like because we can go and listen to them today. It obviously it's pretty simple to distinguish the two. Looks like we're blurry. Stop being blurry. Want to focus? There we go. Why are you remastering the many interpretations of T-Rex video? I want to remaster all of my old many interpretations of videos because my audio improved and my video improved. And I cringe at how not a lot of people think that they were that bad, but I think that they were kind of bad. So I'd like to remake them, plus with new depictions. Now, I actually put out an announcement. I'm not going to be remaking it entirely. I'm just going to be talking about some of my favorite depictions because honestly, it would probably just be a little bit redundant if I just remade it because a lot of that information that I provided in the original video does still hold up. Obviously, it hasn't been that long. Aside from the Nanotyrannus bits, there was a few points where I said that I don't think that Nanotyrannus was likely. Well, I was wrong about that, but aside from that, it's a pretty decent video. So I figured that I wouldn't just do a regular, remake of it. But just to be clear, I would love to remake all of my old many interpretations of videos because just my quality has improved a lot since then, and I would love to see them with better quality, if that makes sense. What is the difference between ornithomimids? Because they all look the same, and how do we distinguish them? Well, a lot of that would be location. A lot of them did live in different parts of the world, and there's like a lot of probably like pretty decent, minute differences between them, known as synapomorphies. Uh, what is your opinion on the Oshalaya? Is it a valid taxon and the valid? It seems like it is right now. There's no reason to think it's synonymous with Spinosaurus or any other Spinosaurid. In fact, I think it's more closely related to Irritator right now, but there's no reason to think that it's like synonymous with Irritator, for example. It seems, as far as we can tell, Oshalaya was a Spinosaurid that existed in Brazil. There we go. Sorry, I'm getting caught up real quick. I apologize for that. I'm excited to see what we do with the new knowledge of Nanotyrannus. Yeah, me too. I'm very excited for that. I'm excited to see how it could potentially recontextualize our understanding of the Hell Creek Formation and its relationship with, the large theropod that lived there, that being Tyrannosaurus Rex, and some of animals that lived in that environment. And yeah, there's just a lot that we can learn. Hey, did know guy. I really want to show you my paleo art, but I can't because I'm not allowed because Discord. Because I'm 10. You can share it here on YouTube, I reckon. Potentially, I do have the community tab opened on YouTube, and I do. One of the reasons why I have that is because I'd love for people to share their art. So if you want to share your art anywhere, I'm sure that would be a good place to do it. Also, what do you think of the Staricosaurus versus Troodon years ago? I'm not sure if I'm familiar with that. Am I still with you? Yes, I reckon. I think I'm having some lagging issues, but that might actually be OBS now that it's been brought to my attention. OBS issues. Dino Guy, did Suchomimus evolve into Spinosaurus like Raptor Rex eventually evolved into T Rex? No. And I don't think the Raptor Rex evolved into T Rex either. Konkulu eventually did. Konkulu is the Tyrannosauroid that is seemingly the ancestor of Tyrannosaurus. Do you like the JP3 dinosaurs were paleo accurate Spinosaurus? At the time, it certainly was. That's for sure. What's your favorite pterosaur dino guy? My favorite pterosaurs are I like Neurognathus and Hatzegopteryx. They're really fascinating animals, and they're kind of like on opposites of the spectrum. So I think it's really funny to state that they're my two favorites. Uh, why did Jurassic Park change Procompsognathus to Compsognathus? I actually have no idea. Ain't Raptor Rex a juvenile Tarbosaurus right now? We don't know. That was always that was always a debated topic, and it might be even more debated now after the whole Nanotyranus stuff has happened. Um, you know that some non-avian dinosaurs survived past the KTG extinction, made it into the early Cenozoic. Crazy idea, but interesting to think about, even with no evidence. Well, technically speaking, everything that's alive today survived the extinction of the dinosaurs because, you know, we are all the descendants of things that survived. Walking with Beasts or Walking with Dinosaurs? Oh, I really like Walking with Beasts. I think Walking with Beasts was fantastic. But Walking with Dinosaurs is a classic, so I'm gonna have to go with that one. Really good. It started the ball rolling. It's really important. Hot take: Oshalaya is better than Spinosaurus. I don't know how you reach that conclusion. I don't see any like better than like I don't really use that logic when I'm talking about these dinosaurs, but we don't have enough skull material. We don't even have enough skeletal material of Oshalaya to even remotely compare it to Spinosaurus, in all honesty. Have you seen Walking with Caveman? My indie show is sort of a spiritual successor to it. I have not seen it, unfortunately. I've heard I've heard mixed things, but I've heard that some of it's good. Um, I've seen the Gigantopithecus portion. They portrayed it like Bigfoot, basically. It was interesting. It auto corrected to Styracosaurus. I meant Stenonychosaurus. Oh, the Stenonychosaurus versus Troodon. Well, what happened was Troodon was split into two different animals known as Latinivinatrix and Stenonychosaurus. So there was a time where Stenonychosaurus. Wow, I've said that too many times. Stenonychosaurus was considered to be, well, but what was Troodon basically? Walking with Monster Supremacy. Walking with Monsters is good. Like I genuinely really liked it. I think we certainly need like an updated version of it, but I really think it's good. Uh could you explain the differences between the two Tyrannosaurus species? Overall, the Macraensis is a little bit thinner and has smaller skull features than Tyrannosaurus does. Basically, I could go like a lot of them are so minute, it's very difficult to like if you're just looking at the two animals side by side, like if you were to look at the two skulls side by side, they would look almost identical, but there's a lot of minute differences in the skull. The pterosaurs have feathers? I don't see that much in depictions. They did. I mean, a lot of people call them pycnofibers, but recently there's been a lot of developments in like what we can actually call them, and it does seem like they're structurally basically just feathers. So yes, pterosaurs they were feathered, and actually a lot of modern depictions do portray them with that. Prehistoric Planet did. Walking with Dinosaurs 2025 did. There's probably some more depictions. Even Jurassic World has been for some of its pterosaurs. The Quetzalcoatlus in Dominion had feathers or pycnofibers. Is Therizinosaurus related to Tyrannosaurus, like as a distant cousin? Yes, they are actually both Coelurosaurs. They belong to the same clade. Coelurosauria is a clade of theropods that is more closely related to birds. So they are all decently closely related to each other. And they're also very closely related to birds, which is one of the main reasons why a lot of them likely had feathers. Would Dinochirus be too large for full body feathering? Probably. Probably. It probably still had feathers. Don't get me wrong, but it probably wasn't completely feathered. You know, there was probably some sparseness to it. Similar to elephants today, a little bit like elephants. Sorry, I meant to say, do you like the paleo-accurate Spinosaurus or the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus? I prefer paleo-accurate, but that's mainly because I'm just like I'm a paleontology fan first and foremost. I still think the JP3 one is so insanely cool, and it's you gotta love Jurassic Park. It's such a cool franchise, um, and I still think that a lot of those designs are really sick. Was Alenka and Asdarkian? I thought they had to be over a certain size. So Alenka, I don't think it. I think there's some debate on whether or not it's an Asdarkid. Let me check just to be on the safe side, but I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it currently is within Asdarkidae. It is not in Asdarkidae. It's in Asdarcoideae, which is the subfamily or the clade rather, but it's not in the same family as like Quetzalcoatlus and Hatzegopteryx. Rather, it's in its own family known as Elenchidae. I didn't know that, but that's yeah, very interesting stuff. I think it's known from fragmentary material anyway, so it's kind of difficult to determine some things about it. Do I like Nanotyrannus? Heck yeah, I do. Ever since the news dropped, the Nanotyrannus is valid. I've done a lot of research on Nanotyrannus, and usually when I do an extensive amount of research on an animal, it quickly becomes one of my favorites. And now, um, uh, what you did, Nanotyrannus is one of my favorite dinosaurs. It's so fascinating. Mesozoic Media Park idea, The Lost World 1925. Great idea. I've started doing something that's kind of in that vein so we could kind of connect it all to that. So I might do that here pretty soon. That is a great idea. In fact, I think I have an idea of what exactly we can do. Ooh, I'm kind of excited now. Hey, Dino Guy, I was wondering if you could talk about Segnosaurus. I don't know if I know anything about Segnosaurus. Let me refresh my memory real quick. Sometimes there's a little bits of information hanging out back there. Oh, it's an Therizinosaur. It looks fairly complete too. I mean, it's. I mean, we don't really have much skull material. It's all like post cranium, but got pretty decently sized arms. Got most of the hips, some tail vertebrae, and neck vertebra rather. Cool. I mean, Therizinosaurs are always really cool. Will you post this live after it's over? Yes, all of my lives they always go like onto YouTube under the live tab. You can go and check them out there. I don't ever delete them unless it was like a failed live that only went live for like 2 seconds and then crashed. I'll delete those ones, but other ones like long ones will stay up. What are my thoughts on Eutyrannus? Eutyrannus is it's an important dinosaur. It is the largest confirmed dinosaur with feathers. As in, it's the largest dinosaur in which we have direct fossil evidence of it having feathers. Feather impressions have been found with it, and that is just so cool because it is a decently sized animal. Um, it's in the same subfamily as Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it's got these long arms with 3 digits on each hand. It's got these crests right before its eyes, known as lacrimal crests, and it's got like a nasal ridge going down the nasal portion. It's a cool dinosaur. Like, there's a reason why it's gained so much popularity since its initial description. What is my favorite animal from the Paleozoic era? That would be Inostransavia, the largest gorgonopsid that we know of, and it's so cool. You know, the original saber tooth animal teeth that group is. Here's me. What are my thoughts on Dakota Raptor? I don't know. We need more information. I've heard some things about how we might be getting a few papers in the next few years, but I don't know too much about that. Excuse me. I apologize. Oh, it's cat hair all over the place. Hey, Dino Guy, I got another question. What is your opinion on hoaxes like the Triassic squid, those mini humans and dinosaurs? A Japanese proposed and said that they found fossils of it. I haven't heard too many paleo hoaxes. The only one I've heard was Sussacaris, which Sussacaris when Among Us was popular, someone created like a fake Paleozoic sea critter that looked like the red Among Us character, like, one of the Among Us little astronauts. Um, it was that was the only one I was mostly aware of, and I don't know if that really caused any damage. Sometimes hoaxes can cause damage within the scientific or the paleontological community, but I'm not really too sure if Sussecaris did, especially considering the fact that I don't hear people talk about it nowadays. So I think it was just one of those things that just happened and just moved on. It was interesting though. It was certainly an interesting time. In fact, I think I'm mutuals with the person who started the Sussecaris thing. I think I'm mutuals with them on TikTok. How do you pronounce ichthyostega? Wait, did I read that right? Yeah. My teacher said it was pronounced itchy ichthyostega. It could be. I don't get caught up on pronunciation, honestly. As long as I could tell what you're saying, it doesn't bug me. I think that getting too caught up on pronunciations does nothing but waste times, and all it does is just make you. I don't know. It's just there's no reason to do it unless like you butchered the name so bad that I can't understand what you're talking about. I'm never gonna bring up pronunciation. Gennady, how we doing, man? How you doing today or tonight? Don't know what time it is for you. Kind of getting into night territory for me. Will you post this live after it's over? I already answered that. Yeah. No, they always go straight to YouTube afterwards. The new Edmontosaurus specimen in Nanotyrannus hype overshadow a new dinosaur called Athenar. Oh, that's right. I did read about that. A dicrasaurid from the Morrison Formation that was named after a metal artist with the same name. Yes, I did read a little bit about that. And unfortunately, it does seem like it did. A lot of the Okay. I should be back now. I should be back now. Theoretically. I'm sorry if I'm getting annoying right now. Never. But what is your opinion on the stem mammal, one of my favorite stem mammals, the Diacodon? Diacodon, Diacodon, I don't know too much about it, unfortunately. In terms of like earlier synapsids, I mostly kind of focus on like other animals like the Gorgonopsids and things like that. It's just something that I need to like I can get more information on. Have I ever been to Texas Dino Guy? Yes, a few times actually. Have there been any confirmed cases of prehistoric hybrids? If so, could you tell me more about them? If not, could you please share your thoughts on or speculation on the possibility? No, we haven't found any evidence of hybridization, but in reality, it might even just be named as a new species if we did. So that's something that's just very difficult like to see in fossils alone. Like it's easier to see nowadays. Like yeah, polar bears are mating with grizzly bears and they're creating roller bears. That's a little bit more. It's easier to observe. But with fossils, that's not really something that's easy to pinpoint. Got another Mesozoic media park idea for you. How about an updated version of the Valley of Guanji? Good idea. Good idea. That's also a really good one. Um, love the Valley of Guanji. Such a fun older movie. What is my favorite basal sauropod or theropod? Uh, basal theropod. It's tricky to determine basal theropods a lot of the times. Would Coelophysis be considered a basal theropod? Was it early enough? Had to have been. I don't know if I have a favorite basal theropod now that I think about it. I mostly just like look at like basal sauropods more than anything. I don't think Coelophysis counts. I'm not too sure then. I don't know if I actually have an answer for that. Will there be more Guess That Paleo art? Yeah, probably. Probably. Do you think that Spinos in Hell Creek are even possible? I don't know. As far as we could tell, Spinosaurids never made it to North America. So I don't think so. Herrera, my beloved. Herrerasaurus is a good option. But is it one of my favorites, though? That's what I'm trying to figure out for me. Mesozoic Media Park idea, Dino Crisis series. That'd be cool. I need to learn more about Dino Crisis, but that'd be pretty cool. Um, Fun fact, Troodon was described 3 years before Hadrosaurus. So if Troodon is officially valid again, it would be the first valid dinosaur to be described in North America. I didn't know that. That'd be pretty cool. If you could have a new remake of an old dinosaur movie, what are you choosing? Oh, Valley of Gwangi. Valley of Gwangi, easily. I want an updated dinosaur western. That'd be sick. Pocosaurus. Guess who's sick? Oh no. I hope you're not sick. You are. Feel better, man. You should make a video of prehistoric creatures that were described or changed in 2025. That would be a stacked list. There was a lot of creatures described this year. It is a very good year for paleontology. I'll tell you that for free. You're very sick. Oh man, I hope you feel better, dude. That's never ideal. Do you think that some prehistoric species we have described might actually have been hybrids of already existing species? I can't think of any off the top of my head, but again, it is a possibility. I'm so sick. I make Big Al look healthy. I'm sorry you're sick, but that's funny. I like that. I might steal that. Since pre-planet ice age, or yeah, prehistoric planet ice age is being made, uh, it's being made. Would you like to see season 4 for the late or early Jurassic? I'm being honest. I'm being absolutely honest. I would like for season 4 to be the Paleozoic, like the Permian or something like that. I know everybody wants like a Triassic and a Jurassic up like season, and I do too. I would love to see that. But if I were to choose, I would love to see Paleozoic because Paleozoic is criminally underrepresented, and there's a lot of really fascinating animals that could be explored there, especially with amazing CGI like prehistoric planets. So I would like to see that personally. Could you do the many interpretations of Corythosaurus or Godzilla? I could at one point. I don't know about Godzilla because I'm not too knowledgeable about Godzilla, but maybe sometime in the future. What do you like more, Saurophaganax or Allosaurus anax? Oh, Allosaurus anax. Let me just check something real quick. There we go. There we go. Okay. Okay, I'm getting caught up. The Paleozoic deserves more love. I agree. Oh, the Overseer. Is this the real Overseer? If so, that's awesome. If so, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for dropping by. But I agree. I absolutely agree. You should do the many interpretations of Anchiornis. I'm not too sure how many depictions there are out there, but I would love to do that. Hey, Dino Guy, what's your opinion on Gregory S. Paul's theory on T-Rex being turned into 3 species? It's obviously not substantial. The evidence that he provided for the split into 2 other species from Rex, there's just not a lot of weight behind it. That there's a reason why it kind of fell out of favor relatively quick. That's not to say there wasn't more species out there, of course, but that just wasn't. I don't think it was substantial enough. What's your opinion on the Namek Formation being contemporary with the Hell Creek at 66.7 million years ago? I don't know if I even have an opinion on that. It does happen quite frequently where two different formations do share similar fauna within their ecosystem. It's always a really interesting thing to see. I don't know if I have an opinion about it other than the fact that I just think it's really interesting. As far as I know, they focused on the late Cretaceous because most of the environments the dinosaurs are shown in the real footage, are shown in is in the real footage, so it can pass as the Cretaceous. Paleozoic would be tough to do. No, yeah, that's true. I've heard that too. Um, but in the at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Um, there are workarounds to it as well in terms of filmmaking things. That is the official answer because the Maastrichtian does have like the most similar environments to the way that they are nowadays. And also that makes sense as to why they'd be doing the Pleistocene because the Pleistocene had environments that are similar to nowadays. But the Paleozoic, there are still some workarounds, and you don't have to be absolutely accurate when depicting these environments because they're not even absolutely accurate with their designs. There are some things that obviously don't hold up to scrutiny. So there's still options to it. I still think that they need to take advantage of the fact that it's called prehistoric planet. I'm glad that they already are by doing the Pleistocene. But I also, I'm I would like to see more than just Pleistocene planet or Maastrichtian planet. Megalania eyes. Yes, Megalania, that's a good example. They do have the slit pupils. Now also, apparently that was a mistake. Unfortunately, they didn't catch it until later in development. But that is technically an inaccuracy, but it was a mistake. So I'm not gonna hold it against them. What dinosaurs would you like to see added to Jurassic World Evolution 3? Not dinosaurs. I would like to see some Cenozoic creatures. That's my favorite. That's what I want right now. That's the top of my list. If not that, more Paleozoic creatures. It's funny how Spicomelis is like when Mother Nature got bored and went crazy. Spikes on dino. Yeah, very true. Fair enough. Mostly thinking that covering the Carboniferous would be heavy on the CG, regardless, plants and whatnot. This is true. This is true. But you can also see that there's another documentary being made called Surviving Earth. I'm sure that all of you know about it. They have recreated the Carboniferous without CGI. Practical effects are always really cool. They have like a whole set up that looks a lot like the Carboniferous. And honestly, even what Prehistoric Park did with their Carboniferous, like it wasn't perfect, obviously not, but they did pretty decent in capturing the spirit of the Carboniferous at the very least. You get caught up. Oh, neat. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Uh, Let me get caught up. Have you seen the new Tamari Raptor PNSO is releasing? What are your opinions on it? It has lips. Yes, it looks awesome. I already bought it. It should be getting in next week. It's really cool, and I love that PNSO is finally starting to do lips on their dinosaurs. That's overall preferable if you ask me. When is Surviving Earth supposed to come out again? I don't know about specifics, but it comes out next year, sometime next year. Maybe spring? I can't remember specifically. It might be around springtime when it comes out. What's your dinosaur hot take? People get too caught up on the sizes of dinosaurs, as in like their overall mass. One thing I always like to tell people, like whenever I'm at the museum or something, whenever I'm talking to someone, I like to say that if you like took a time machine, if you somehow had a time machine and you went back to say Maastrichtian, late Cretaceous, Hell Creek Formation to go and observe a Tyrannosaurus Rex, you're probably not going to see the largest individual. You might see a young guy, or you might see an individual that's not like he's full grown, but he's just a small adult. I think that people just get too caught up on how big an animal can be, how small an animal can be, because in reality, in nature, it varies. Animals still need to grow to get to be their biggest size, and even when they get to be full grown, they might not even be at their biggest size. I just think we just get a little bit too caught up on that. That's my dinosaur hot take. What's my opinion on Argentinosaurus and where would you place it on the leaderboard of sauropod? Oh, it's cool. It's a really cool dinosaur. It's one of my favorite sauropods. Let me just fix a setting real quick and then I'm gonna be right back. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay. Sweet. All right, I'm back. I return. Those shelves are peak. Thank you. Thank you. This may be an interesting and hard suggestion of the Mesozoic Media Park. But can you try to do the Beast from 20,000 Fathom? I don't even know if I know that one. Let me Google it up real quick. Ooh. Oh, okay. Hmm. I wonder how I would do that. I could definitely look into doing that. I think that'd be a fun inclusion overall. But it's certainly like a classic old type of movie monster sort of thing. Nice hat, man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What's your favorite paleo YouTuber? I don't watch too many like YouTube videos of dinosaur related things, unfortunately, because I don't have a lot of time to. I'm mostly spending most of my time like reading and doing research on other stuff. I like Benji Thomas though. Benji Thomas is always a really good watch. I have a question. What does Diplodocus mean in Greek and why it got its name? Oh, Diplodocus. What does it? It stands for double beam. And that's because it had like double rows of structures on the bottom of its vertebrae, if I remember correctly, which is a very interesting name in general, of course. There's always some really interesting names. Like, did you know that Allosaurus translates to different lizard? Would you rather have a Dilophosaurus roaming your neighborhood or a Utah Raptor roaming your neighborhood? Well, I would really like to see both of them, but maybe Utah Raptor because that would just be really cool to see. Double beam because of the neck and tail. No, I think it's because they had two rows of structures, the bottom of their vertebrae. Let me check real quick to make sure I'm correct on that. Not you, AI overview. Not you. Yeah, it refers to the chevrons located in the underside of the tail, which were then considered unique. Yeah. Yeah, it's for the chevrons. You have two structure, like there's two like different types of structures on the like on the vertebrae. You have the neural spines on the top of the vertebrae, and then you have chevrons on the bottom. The chevrons, there was like two rows of them on the bottom of the vertebrae, which led to the name double beam or Diplodocus. What would a kick from an elephant bird feel like? Like pain and agony. There's a channel called Daily Dino Guy. Yeah, I'm mutuals with him. Have you seen some of the relatively new Surviving Earth images? There are quite a few on the Surviving Earth wiki. Yes, I've been keeping up with that. That's like one of my most anticipated documentaries out there. So I've been keeping up with as much as I possibly can because I got to be like as up to date as I possibly can be. Hey, Dino Guy, I loved watching your Nanotyrannus video, and I got to say the Carnivore Cityscape Nanotyrannus is my favorite. That's a good choice. I quite like that one too. I like the colors, especially. The colors were quite fitting, I feel. Dinosaur Revolution is my favorite dinosaur documentary. It's a cool one. I always liked watching it growing up. What do you think of the idea of dromaeosaurs, and troodontids mimicking sounds of other animals, including if they are alive today, human voices, just like modern day birds? It's a fun idea, of course, but we don't. In order for them to do that, they need a syrinx, which is a specific structure that modern day birds have. The syrinx is what allows birds to make all kinds of really crazy, complex noises. And we haven't found that on any dinosaur yet, non avian dinosaur, because birds are dinosaurs. Um, so we don't know if they were able to recreate similar types of noises. We have found a larynx for Pulausaurus as well as for Pinacosaurus. And both of those two larynxes are very bird-like, which implies that they had similar vocalization to birds, but we still haven't found a syrinx. So we don't quite know if they sounded like birds. This is that Antarctica and New Zealand were part of Gondwana. It's certainly possible, but unfortunately, like places like that are not too well known in the fossil record, especially Antarctica. So we still have things to learn. Are we lagging a bit? We might be lagging a little bit. Hopefully it clears up here in a minute. Hopefully it's fixed now. Great. What was my favorite dinosaur horror game? Oh, I really liked Unknown Tapes. I think Unknown Tapes was my absolute favorite that I played over the month of October. It was it genuinely had like a lot of jump scares that genuinely got me. It was very fun. I really liked it. Facts on Dinosuchus. Did you know that Dinosuchus like to eat turtles? There's a lot of turtle shells that have Dinosuchus bite marks in them, which implies that it probably went after a lot of turtles. A lot of people like to see Dinosuchus as like this primarily dinosaur hunting uh croc relative, but it probably ate a lot of different things. One of those things like, fish and turtles and other such things, but it would eat dinosaurs. There's some hadrosaur fossils with Dinosuchus bite marks as well. If I remember correctly, the paleontology guy said the Titanosaurus appearance seen that they are 100 to 210 tons. So it made believe that the Titanosaurus size were inspired by the Bruhat. I thought that he said it was like 10, like 11 tons. Like, very far. If we're talking about, or rebirth rather, because they significantly undersized them. They said that, like, I think that he said it was around like 11 tons, which wouldn't make sense anywhere. Have you watched Why Dinosaurs? It's on PBS. Yes, I did, and I loved it. I love hearing people's dinosaur stories. I love hearing why they got into dinosaurs and why they chose to. Because like what I loved about that documentary is like it didn't just talk about one group of people. It talked about like a wide array of different people, like scientific communicators or paleontologists, collectors, filmmakers, all kinds of cool people, and why they love dinosaurs and why they even got into dinosaurs and why they chose the career path that they are currently on. I love that, because we all have a good dinosaur story, myself included. Kind of a good dinosaur story. I don't know why I started liking dinosaurs. I just started liking them. But no, I really liked everything or Why Dinosaurs. In fact, they followed me back on TikTok and Instagram. So I'm mutuals with them, which is cool because I really liked the documentary. Is cannibalism from dinosaurs from the same species common? Relatively speaking. You know, that's probably just like a common rule of nature. If a dinosaur is hungry enough and it comes across, an expired dinosaur, and it just so happens to be their great aunt Cherry, they're probably still going to eat it. That's just how nature works. Um, he said that they are 11 tons, but change it when they saw them for the first time. I might remember wrong. I don't remember him changing it, honestly. I think they only had that one scene where he mentions the size, and then that was it. But I'll have to rewatch it. Cannibalism is common, period. Yep, absolutely it is. Because again, that's just nature. I absolutely agree. Like, a lot of times they like to put, I mean, okay, to be fair, it's not too common in birds. So with dinosaurs, it gets to be a little bit more tricky because, birds are dinosaurs, but I wouldn't be surprised if it still happened from time to time. If dinosaurs were to pronate their hands, would you think their hands would heal if they were back if they were to break? Maybe. Maybe. They'd probably heal in a very strange position. What is the green sauropod in the background in the river scene in Primitive War? I was under the impression that all of the large ones were simply just dreadnoughtus, but I'm not too sure about that. I just haven't heard anything else. I finished swimming and this is the greetings I get. Greetings. Welcome, Sir Argentinosaurus. How are we doing today or tonight? Let me get caught up real quick. Do you think dinosaurs could have had gigantism conditions that might explain or at least make more realistic the Carnotaurus in Disney's Dinosaur or Rudy in Ice Age? Those are extreme examples. Even if there was like some type of gigantism, I'm not even too sure if they would reach those sizes. Rudy is insanely big. He's bigger than Mama Rex, and Mama Rex is already like significantly larger than like Manny, who's a woolly mammoth. Now, woolly mammoths, they were about the size, roughly the size of like an Asian elephant, but T Rex was bigger than them, but it was like not too much bigger. Like it was still a reasonable size. Mama Rex towers over Manny, and then Rudy towers over Mama Rex. Rudy is insanely big, like unrealistically big, especially for a predatory animal. Um, now, I think the reason why they did that is because they wanted the dinosaurs to be more impressive. Because if you have an animal that's just barely bigger than Manny, then it's not going to be as impressive for the cartoon that you're trying to, or for the animated show that you want to showcase. Um, but it's still insane, you know. It's still insane fact. So even if there was some gigantism that occurred in nature back then, I don't think it would reach quite those heights. What's the hadrosaurs that we see in Primitive War? Oh, we see a few. We see a few hadrosaurs. I think I saw some admonosaurs. I believe I saw maybe some corythosaurs as well. There might be a few other ones. I should also be paying attention to the time because it's kind of late right now. It looks like we are at an hour. So unfortunately, it does look like I will have to end the stream. I'll answer a few more questions though, real quick. Um, okay, another surviving Earth question. What species that hasn't been mentioned yet are you most hoping will show up in one of the episodes, if any? I don't really have any expectations for the show in terms of what creatures I would like to see. I just, I just want to see a really well-made documentary. I think that'd be really cool. Uh, Enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you. You enjoy the rest of your night too. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. Thank you everybody for dropping by. I do appreciate you guys coming by and just hanging out for a little bit. It's always a real pleasure to talk with each and every one of you. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your day or your night. And we will see y'all later.